Welcome to Byte-Sized Tech. Today, we are tackling the ultimate TV buying guide. Look, if you've walked into an electronics store recently, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Buying a new TV can feel, well, just completely overwhelming. You're hit with a wall of acronyms, competing technologies, and this crazy range of prices. How are you supposed to cut through all that noise and find the perfect screen for your home? Well, that's exactly what we're going to break down today. So here is our game plan. We're going to start with a really common budget challenge. Then we'll dive deep into the core technologies themselves. After that, we'll solve a classic frustration pretty much everyone has. Witness a high-end TV showdown, and then we'll wrap it all up with a personal checklist so you can make your final decision with confidence. Okay, let's get into it. First up, we're tackling the place where most of us start, the budget. Specifically, what can you really get for around $1,500? Let's find out. This question comes from John, and it's a great one. He's looking to upgrade his 2014 TV. It's starting to show its age with some dead pixels, and he wants a significant step up without, breaking the bank. I think this is a situation a lot of us can relate to, which makes it the perfect place to start. And I've got some great news for John, and for anyone else with a similar budget. $1,500 is a fantastic amount to work with. Seriously. Whether you're looking for a 55-inch or even a 65-inch screen, this price point opens up some seriously impressive TVs that are going to be a massive upgrade. So, what are the options? Well, if you're aiming for a 55-inch screen, your choices are incredible. You've got Samsung's S90F, a QOD OLED that delivers just one of the best images you can find, with stunning color and contrast right at that $1,500 mark. Or for $100 less, there's the LG C5, another amazing OLED. Now here's the interesting difference. The LG is actually brighter with what's called SDR content. That's basically your normal cable TV or older shows. That makes it a better pick if your room gets a lot of light. Plus, it supports Dolby Vision, which is a super popular HDR format that makes compatible movies and games look absolutely spectacular. But what if you want to go bigger? At 65 inches, we start to shift into the world of premium QLED and mini LED TVs. Here, you've got options like the LG QNED 92A, which really packs a punch with brightness and gives you 4 future-proof HDMI 2.1 ports. And why does that matter? Well, HDMI 2.1 is what you need for the latest gaming consoles like the PS5 and Xbox Series X to run games in 4K at a super smooth 120 frames per second. Then you've got the heavy hitters from Hisense and TCL. The TCL QM8K is known for its incredible black levels, making it a fantastic choice for a dark room. But you've got to keep an eye on the Hisense U8QG. It's a fierce competitor that often goes on sale for an unbelievable price. Okay, so we've been throwing around a lot of acronyms: OLED, QLED, mini LED. Let's get to our next section and really break this down. What is the fundamental difference between these two technologies anyway? It really all comes down to light. With an OLED TV, every single one of those millions of tiny pixels makes its own light. This means a pixel can turn completely off, creating true, perfect black. And that's what gives OLEDs their famous infinite contrast. It makes colors pop in a way that is just breathtaking, especially if you love watching movies in a dark room. Now, premium QLEDs or mini LEDs, they work completely differently. Instead of each pixel lighting itself, they use a super powerful backlight made of thousands of tiny LEDs that shine through the screen. And their superpower? It's raw brightness. They can get incredibly bright, which lets them fight off glare and look amazing even in a sun-drenched living room. So here's the crucial takeaway. This is the whole trade-off right here. This slide lays it out perfectly. OLED gives you those perfect blacks and is the absolute king for darkroom movie nights. QLED and mini LED deliver extreme brightness, which makes them the champion for bright rooms and daytime TV. Here's your rule of thumb. If your TV is in a room with a ton of windows and sunlight you can't control, the raw brightness of a QLED is going to be your best friend. It can literally overpower the glare. In that situation, brightness is way more important than perfect blacks. Your room's lighting is probably the single most important factor in this whole decision. Okay, so you've bought your beautiful new TV. You've set it all up. But now you have a new problem. One remote for the TV and a completely different one for the soundbar. Let's fix that. This has to be one of the most common frustrations out there. But guess what? The solution is already built right into your TV. You don't need to go out and buy a universal remote anymore. The secret is a little feature called HDMI control. Here's exactly how you do it on a TCL TV, but the steps are pretty similar for most other brands. You just dig into the settings menu, find something called External Device Control, and make sure HDMI control is switched on. Once you do this, boom, your TV remote can now control the volume on your soundbar. It can even operate stuff like your Blu-ray player or your game console. It's such a simple fix that makes life so much easier. All right, let's kick things up a notch. What happens when the budget isn't really the main concern and you're just deciding between two of the absolute best large-screen TVs on the market? Welcome to the ultimate showdown. This question from Alex Garcia frames the debate perfectly. An 83-inch flagship OLED versus an 85-inch flagship mini-LED. This isn't just about size. This is a battle of philosophies. So, how do you possibly choose? Okay, let's be totally objective here. From a pure, raw, picture quality standpoint, the LG G4 OLED is the superior TV. Full stop. Its infinite contrast and brilliant processing just put it on another level. But, and this is a big but, picture quality isn't everything. The TCL QM8K is the undisputed champion of brightness, which makes it a much better fit for a very bright room. It also runs on Google TV, which a lot of people prefer, and it has a lower risk of something called burn-in, which we'll touch on right now. You know, the final decision often comes down to the little things. Do you prefer LG's WebOS or Google TV on the TCL? I know it sounds silly, but how does the remote actually feel in your hand? And crucially, what are you watching? If you watch hours of news with those static logos or play video games with a fixed map on the screen, the risk of burn-in on an OLED, while it is low, is still a factor to consider. It's always a good idea to check out some user forums and see what people who've owned these TVs for a while are saying. And that brings us to our final and honestly most important section. We've given you the data, we've given you the specs, but now it's time to turn all that information into a personal decision. Here's your checklist. First, and most importantly, just look around you. Is your living room flooded with sunlight during the day? If the answer is yes, the sheer brightness of a QLED or a mini LED might be your new best friend. If you're more of a nighttime movie watcher in a room where you can control the light, an OLED is going to absolutely shine. Next, think about your habits. Are you a movie fanatic who craves that cinematic perfection? OLED is definitely calling your name. Or are you a huge sports fan, a news junkie with tickers and logos constantly on the screen? The burn-in resistance and the brightness of a QLED might just give you a little more peace of mind. And don't forget about the daily user experience. You're going to be using the TV's software every single day. Do you love the simplicity and the content-first approach of Google TV? Or do you actually prefer the little pointer-based remote from LG's WebOS? This is a personal preference that genuinely matters. And that brings us to the final big question you should ask yourself. After all of this, the answer is pretty clear. The best TV isn't just the one with the highest scores in some lab test. It's the one that seamlessly fits your room, your viewing habits, and your personal preferences. The best TV is the one that's best for you. Hey, if this guide helped you make a decision, let us know down in the comments which TV you're leaning towards. And if you enjoyed this explainer, please be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more bite-sized tech guides.